Guys, welcome back to Southern Extreme TV. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Today, we're going to be doing a review of the DNT Hydra HS335R. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we are trying to grow this channel as big as we can get it. But with no further ado, let's dive into this video because I'm really excited about this. Thermal imaging scopes have came a long way from when we started hunting 14, 15, 16 years ago. The price points are cheaper, the technology is better, customer service is better, just everything about the entire industry has gotten better. And to be honest with you, there are very few companies who come on the market that I guess somewhat catch your attention, that can capture a quality product while maintaining a budget-friendly perspective. But DNT has found a way to somewhat do that. Now, I've tested and ran some DNT products in the past. I'm actually running a 640 Hydra on a shotgun build. So if you guys have kept up with the channel, seen some of the thermal predator hunts that we've done with shotguns with the thermal mounted on it, we're running a DNT optic. Now, DNT has recently came out with a LRF version of that Hydra, a 384 and a 640 and maybe a 225. This here is going to be their 384 model, which I'm really excited to test out because that was the one little bit of feedback that I had personally with the original 640 Hydra that I did test, was I really wish that it had the LRF with it. Now, obviously, not having an LRF, if you don't need one, you are going to save a little bit of money, but having the LRF is a really nice feature. And if you're going to make the investment in a thermal, in my opinion, go ahead and bite the bullet and go ahead and get the LRF. So let's dive into this thing. We're going to go through the boring stuff first. We're going to open this, do a little unboxing, and then we'll dive into some of the details. So this is the Hydra HS335. It's a 384 resolution, 384 by 288, 12 micron, 3x12, so it's a 3 power base mag, 12x magnification with a 35mm lens. And in the box, I've already went through this a little bit. You're gonna get a charger for your batteries. You do get an eyepiece if you're somebody who likes running those the eyepieces that actually go up against your face. You do have that option. Personally, I don't really like that, so I always just wind up taking it off. You get a nice little carry pouch here, which is a good touch. You get a spare, it's not a spare, it's actually a quick detach Picatinny rail. So if you want to run a QD style mount that's not cantilevered, they do give you that option as well. Charging cable to go there. You do get two 18650 batteries, which is what this optic runs on, and you get this little handy dandy nice little case. Now, here is the actual optic itself. Now, what is really special about the DNT Hydras, and that's all models of the Hydras, whether it's the LRF version or the non-LRF version, is the size. The size and the weight is something that I was really interested in. You can see here that this thing is about the size of my hand, and that's with the full length cantilevered Picatinny rail installed. Now, if you don't want this cantilevered mount, they do make the quick detach Picatinny rail, which is more of a vertical style mounting system. And it's nice that they provide that because this optic is capable of being ran as a clip-on. So what that means is if you have an LPVO scope, like a 1 power to 4 power or 1 to 6, something along those lines, you can actually put this optic into the clip-on mode where the reticle disappears, and you can actually use the scope, your LPVO scope that's already on a gun that you have set up, and you can run it in conjunction with this thermal. So that's really nice that they give you that ability to do it. The other cool thing about this is because it's so lightweight and it's so small and you can turn the reticle off, it allows you to run this as a scanner as well. So if you're somebody who is looking for maybe a scanner for maybe you to run full time, but then also you're like, man, it would be nice to have a backup scope if something crazy happened to your main scope, or if you want what a lot of people call as a buddy scope, for if you happen to have a landowner going with you, you happen to have a buddy going with you hunting that night, you can always put this on a gun, sight it in, and run it as its intended purpose, which is as a scope. So basically with this one unit, you're getting 3 different functionalities out of it. You're getting a scope, you're getting a scanner, and you're getting a clip-on, which is a lot going on with this thing. And you get the built-in LRF, which is really nice. That was one thing that I was going to be worried about when they said that they were going to come out with an LRF for the Hydra, was if they were going to try to make it be a Bluetooth connected LRF, which I am not a fan of. So the fact that this built-in LRF is built into the actual housing of the thermal, that's really nice. That's a big deal. That's something that if you're in the market or you've been doing some research and you're wanting an LRF, make sure you look at that, because that's something you're going to want to pay attention to, and it's going to be something that you really like in lieu of having the Bluetooth paired LRF system, which tends to fail a lot. This thing right here, for the money, guys, is going to turn some heads. This optic at a 384 resolution with an LRF is coming in under $2,000. That's right. It is coming in under $2,000. Now, obviously, you're getting a 384 resolution optic, but again, you're getting a lot of stuff built into this thing for a really, really budget-friendly price. So I'm gonna lay that right there. I do want to read some of the technical specifications off of it, which I touched on it a little bit, mainly like with the micron sensor and all that. So let's just burn through this for those of you that are interested. So you get a 384 by 288. That's your pixel rating. The sensor frame. So this is a 50 hertz refresh screen. Now, for those of you that don't know what that means, it is how fast the image is processing in the optic. So the higher the number, the higher the resolution, the higher the number, the faster it's going to process images. And the reason that that's a big deal is when you're panning left to right, the lower the number is, you tend to get this kind of ghost vibe or a ghost view on the screen. Whereas once you start getting up into that 50 hertz refresh speed, everything's very crisp and sharp, and it's more like looking through a normal day scope, where as soon as you move it here, it's up to date, it's current, and during the move process, it's refreshing at such a high speed that you don't see that lag in the screen. So that's a very big deal. Pixel size 12 by 12. The NETD rating is a sub 18 millikelvin, which is a really good rating for this cheap of an optic. There are some optics out there on the market that's a sub 15 millikelvin. With that, the lower the rating on the millikelvin rating, the better the optic is. From a clarity perspective, the lower the number, the better it's supposed to be. The market has just recently, within probably the last year to year and a half, broken from that sub 20 category, where sub 20 millikelvin was kind of the flagship. So it's went from sub 20 to sub 18, and it went from sub 18 to like sub 15. So right now, 15 is kind of that flagship, if you will, and 18 is kind of that next step up. But 18 is still very, very good. I don't want to try to push shade off on that there's 15s out there. Like, your sub 15s are scopes that are costing you $5,000 to $7,000, $8,000. So keep that in mind, that you can buy almost 3 or 4 of these for the same price as you could buy one of those other ones. 35 millimeter objective lens, which obviously you can tell here that it's not a 50 millimeter objective. Now, I do believe that they are making a 640 LRF Hydra that does have the 50 millimeter objective lens. Obviously, that's going to come with a heavier price tag. I don't know. I haven't done enough research to know exactly what that price point is on that. But I would love to do a side-by-side comparison of the 640 Hydra with the LRF in a 35 millimeter and compare it to the 50 millimeter to kind of see exactly what we got going on there. So maybe that's a video we can do in the future. Base magnification is 3x. That is something I was really excited about to see with the 384 model, because I did not want to see a 384 resolution optic with like a 1x base mag. So the fact that they're giving you a 3x base mag at 384, you're going to get a lot of clarity at that zoom level. Even for the next 1 or 2 zoom cycles, you're still going to maintain a good bit of clarity all the way out through 12x. So good for them on making that base mag 3. Just mentioned 3 to 12, so 12x is the most that it will magnify. Not that big of a deal. This is not really an optic that you're going to be probably taking out and shooting beyond. I'm going to say realistically, you're not going to be shooting out beyond 300 to 400 yards on a consistent level, though it is very capable of that, because with the built-in LRF, you do have a ballistic calculator in this thing as well. So you can actually go into the app, go into the scope, and put in your bullet and ballistic parameters. And basically what will happen is when you range a target at, let's say, 500 yards and you have a 0 set at 100, it will actually give you your holdover for where your point of impact is supposed to be at based on that bullet parameter that you put into this. So it basically calculates that dope for you in the scope, and in real time with the LRF will show you what your holdover is supposed to be. That's technology that 3 years ago would have cost you $5,000 to $6,000 minimum, and now these ballistic calculators and ballistic LRF systems are being incorporated into scopes that are under $2,000. This is crazy to think about. Field of view 13 yards at 100 yards. So basically that means that 100 yards away from you, you're going to be able to see 13 yards left to right in that sight picture. So that's a really good field of view for what you're getting. The weight, 16 ounces, you get 32 gigabytes of internal memory. Operation distance, it says 5 to 1,200 yards. But the real cool thing that I love about DNT optics, and this is the reason that I chose DNT to run on our shotgun, is that these things are recoil rated for a 50 BMG. Now, I've not tested it on a 50 BMG. However, I will tell you that a 3-inch TSS 12 gauge will not knock these scopes off. So I can attest to that in real time, real world, real situation. Put a stamp on it, that's been tested. So really good job for them to build not only a budget-friendly optic, but to pack a lot of features into this optic along with making it built like a brick. And what I mean by being built like a brick is just being built very tough. And you know that they've got to somewhat stand behind their product because they're offering a 5-year warranty on this product, which is a really great thing. The majority of thermal optics out there on the market at a minimum are offering a 5-year warranty. Just about every thermal manufacturer out there is either offering a 5-year. If they're not offering a 5-year warranty, typically it's probably not a well-established brand at this point, and they're probably using subpar internals. So kudos to them for coming out and doing the 5-year warranty and giving you all of this in a very budget-friendly price point. Now, I do want to talk about the other really nice thing about this optic is the eye relief. And I want to keep kind of circling back to that shotgun that I'm running a DNT Hydra on. And the one negative for trying to build that shotgun thermal setup over years past has been an idea that I'd had for 10 plus years, but the thermal technology had not been there yet to really incorporate that. You need a really good eye relief because obviously you're shooting a 12 gauge shotgun with TSS shells, and you're going to get a little bit more recoil than what you are, say, shooting a 243 or a 6.5 Creedmoor. So you need to be able to get farther away from this optic just to be safe so that you don't get scope rash, if you will. And DNT has done that because you can get about this far away while still maintaining a full sight picture, which is really nice for a young shooter, or maybe somebody that's new, or maybe somebody that's not used to getting behind a thermal. That's going to feel really comfortable to them because they're not going to have to get all the way down on the gun and all the way down on the optic to be able to get that full sight picture and still enjoy being out in the woods and trying to shoot some animals at nighttime. So kudos to them on doing that. They do have the ability, it's a USB-C port here on the right hand side. So if you're somebody who forgets to charge materials, or maybe you're out and about and maybe you lose your 18650 batteries for whatever reason, if you do run a battery pack on your firearm like me and Guffey do, you have the ability to run a USB-C cable over to this optic, and it can be powered without having a battery installed over here, which is really nice. One thing that they did change from, I believe they changed from the original Hydra that I tested, I think I tested the 640 model, is the battery cap compartment originally was just a screw cap, which this is still a screw cap, but once the screw cap came off, it was completely loose. So if you were in the field trying to change out that battery, it was very easy for you to drop that cap in the grass, in the woods, in the leaves, whatever it may be. With this one, they added a little string. It's not really a string, it's a cable that actually allows the cap to be connected to the scope at all times. So that way when you unscrew it and you go to change your battery out, you're not going to lose this end cap. That was one complaint that I had with the other one. That was really one of the only negatives that I did have. So the fact that they corrected it on this LRF version is really, really cool. One thing that is nice about this is it does have the picture-in-picture feature. For those of you that don't know what PIP is, a picture-in-picture is basically a zoomed in picture of your reticle anywhere on the screen. You can set it in the top left corner, you can set it dead center, and you can set it in the top right corner, which is really unique with this scope. And basically it prevents you from having to reach up there and zoom in whenever an animal's coming. So basically, let's say you have 2 coyotes coming into a set. The first dog stops, you're going to use the zoomed in image that's up at the top screen, take your shot with that zoomed in image. Then when the other dog takes off running, all you have to do is just look right back down at your main reticle that's going to be zoomed out. You're going to get that nice field of view, and you can take a follow-up shot if you need. So the picture-in-picture feature on this optic is really, really nice. And if you're somebody that doesn't want to run a picture-in-picture, maybe you're going to be running this on a shotgun, then the picture-in-picture mode is not that big of a deal, because you want to maintain as much of a full sight picture as you can possibly get, obviously for taking running shots or trying to see those animals bobbing and weaving through whatever thick cover that you may be hunting in. So good job DNT for checking a lot of boxes on this optic. If you guys are in the market for a very budget friendly optic, maybe you're looking for a backup scope, maybe you're looking for a buddy scope, maybe you're trying to dabble in the thermal world, this is a great place to not only start, but also to kind of jump in the middle ground, because yes, it's a cheaper budget friendly scope, but there's so much that you can do with it that, let's say you buy it, you run it as a scope, you run it as a scanner, and then maybe you want to upgrade to the 640 version or whatever it may be, then you can always fall back on this 384 as your dedicated scanner or as a dedicated buddy scope or backup scope, whatever you want it to be. So really, really awesome stuff. I hope I covered everything in this video. I know it was kind of quick or I think it was kind of quick. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but this is a really great buy at the end of the day. If you are somebody looking to get into the thermal world, DNT, their Hydra line, especially with the LRF, is going to turn some heads, and you guys are going to be really, really excited about this. This scope and all others like it can be found at Southern Precision Outdoors. You can go to their webpage and take a look at all their thermals. They do a real good job of doing comparison from what model, if you're looking at one model and comparing it to another, they do a real good job of doing that. And if there's questions that you still have after this video, drop a comment down below. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability, or I'll try to get us into contact with somebody who's a lot smarter than I am. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on my channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are trying to grow to this thing to 100,000 subs, and I will be sure to see you guys on the next episode.